I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. Doctors who've treated Bill's safety, Damar Hamlin, said he is being transferred to a hospital in Buffalo to resume his recovery. Another sign of the remarkable progress he's made 1 week after going into cardiac arrest during a game. Two major shakeups for the Cardinals. The team fired Coach Cliff Kingsbury. Arizona went 28-37-1 with just one playoff appearance in his 4 seasons. He signed an extension through the 2027 season, so Kingsbury does walk away with more than $30 million. In addition, GM Steve Keim decided to step away from his position to focus on his health. The focal point for Arizona's next coach and GM, quarterback Kyler Murray, explains ESPN's Louis Riddick.
What do we really need to do as far as building a relationship with him, understanding his strengths and weaknesses, both as a player and as a person? How do we maximize those strengths? How do we get the most out of him individually? How do we get the most out of him in a collective sense as far as him being a leader? How do we help him grow into a leader?
Louis Riddick on Fitz and Harry. College football season comes down to this. Georgia TCU in the national title game. 6:30 Eastern ESPN Radio, 7:30 Eastern ESPN TV.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
So. And Mr. Toby Tom. Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there. Make it a good one. Saints season came to an appropriately ugly end at the Dome. College football will crown a national championship tonight. Ross Dellenger from L.A. in 15 minutes from right now. We'll get to all of it. Sean Payton being interviewed by the Denver Broncos. Michael Thomas, his time in New Orleans is over for all intents and purposes. But let's start, though, with the busy weekend that LSU football had. The transfer portal window is set to close here in the coming days. So for college coaching staffs, the ramp up in getting these guys on campus and getting them committed, namely before the semester starts, especially if you want these guys to participate in spring football, you got some urgency. So it was a productive weekend for LSU. A couple of cornerbacks and a defensive lineman committed to LSU over the weekend. Darian Deuce Chestnut, a 4-star who was the number 1 cornerback out of New Jersey, spent the last couple of years at Syracuse. He was on campus this weekend, and he pledged to the LSU Tigers. So Deuce Chestnut adds another body to that growing cornerback room. The other was J.K. Johnson. J.K. Johnson, who has not made a formal announcement yet, but if you look at his Twitter profile, he does, there's no graphic or anything like that. He just put on his Twitter profile, you can pull this up, Paulie, his bio pic is him in an LSU uniform, and his bio reads Ohio State, Arrow, LSU. So essentially he's announcing that he's committed to LSU. So 2 more veteran cornerbacks that LSU has picked up via the transfer portal. And the other is Preston Hickey, who is joining LSU as a preferred walk-on. Defensive lineman from St. Paul's in Covington, who has spent the beginning of his career at Oklahoma State, who this weekend announced his commitment to LSU after a visit with the Tigers this past weekend, where he was on campus for a visit. So another body there on the defensive line, as LSU has been very busy adding players at that position in particular. Let's run through this here if we could. You know, one of the things that Brian Kelly has been pretty adamant about is that he wants to make sure that as he rebuilds this roster, the portal is a tool. It's not a strategy. And maybe more so what he said is he doesn't want one-year guys out of the portal. See, that's the unfortunate thing that happened to LSU in 2022, but it happened out of necessity. Just kind of rewind the clock a year, if you would, and remember where LSU was. Dwight McGlothern hit the portal. Elias Ricks hit the portal. Cordell Flott went pro. I mean, you were sitting here looking at a really lean cornerback room. So LSU had to attack that position in the portal. So they go and they get Jarek Bernard-Converse, and they get Mekhi Garner. They bring in Colby Richardson. They bring in Brooks and Fouché from Arkansas, although they're kind of more like safety roles. But they had to go address the secondary. The unfortunate part is a lot of those guys were one-year guys. Jarek Bernard-Converse, one-year guy. Mekhi Garner, one-year guy. Colby Richardson, one-year guy. So you essentially hit the reset button again after the 2022 season. So Brian Kelly and the staff said, we're not doing that again. We did it out of necessity to get guys on the field that had played college football before, but now we're going to build through not only the portal, but the high school ranks. And if we take portal guys, they're going to have more than 1 year of eligibility. So look at what we've seen them do already. They went and they snagged Denver Harris from Texas A&M, who had just played 1 year there in College Station. So we've got 3 years of eligibility remaining. Former 5-star, top 50 overall player in the country. Zy Alexander, 2-time FCS All-American from Loreauville. So he's a Louisiana guy, played at Southeastern, 2-time FCS All-American, 6'3", 185, physically fits the mold, a lot of experience, 2 years of eligibility remaining. Checks the box. Now look at the players that they signed here. Deuce Chestnut has spent the last 2 years at Syracuse. He was all conference in his time there at Syracuse. So you're talking about a dude who's been a 2-year starter, was all conference, and now is moving from the ACC into the SEC and is going to push immediately for one of those starting jobs. But again, a guy with 2 years of eligibility remaining. And then if you look at J.K. Johnson, similar, he's a guy that was a 4-star in the 247 composite when he signed with Ohio State out of DeSmet. And I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. I know we've talked about that before, but it's the place where Robert Steeples coached high school. As a matter of fact, J.K. Johnson and Mekhi Wingo were high school teammates. Johnson went to Ohio State. Wingo went to Missouri. They each spent time at their respective schools and now are going to be at LSU together. But J.K. Johnson, when he committed as a prospect in the 247 composite, y'all, he was listed as the number 50 overall player in the country and the number 3 cornerback in the country. So you're talking about a dude that was a highly coveted, sought-after high school prospect when he signed with Ohio State a couple of seasons ago in the class of 2021. So he just finished his second year there at Ohio State. So again, what you've seen Brian Kelly and his staff do is go get uber-talented guys who were 4- and 5-star, top 50 players in the country and brought him into LSU now with multiple years of eligibility remaining. And maybe the best illustration of what LSU's defensive back room is going to be is a comparison to what it was. Here's what I mean. Look at 2022. You had Jarek Bernard-Converse, Mekhi Garner, Colby Richardson, Sevyn Banks, who was basically injured all year, and then you had LaTerrence Welch, Raydarius Jones, Demarius McGee. Neither of those guys played all year. So really you had Jarek, Garner, Colby Richardson, LaTerrence Welch. And I guess you could throw Sevyn Banks because he was injured. So you really had 4 guys that could play on the outside for you this year. Look at 2023. Of course, Jarek, Garner, Richardson, all gone. You got Harris, Chestnut, Alexander, J.K. Johnson, Sevyn Banks, LaTerrence Welch, Jordan Allen returning as well. And then you signed 3 freshmen in this class with Jeremiah Hughes, Ashton Stamps, and then the big one was Javian Toviano. You have 9 cornerbacks right now. Harris, Chestnut, Alexander, Johnson, Banks, Welch, Allen, and then the 3 freshmen. That's 10. #math. You have 10 cornerbacks on the roster next year. And of those 10, Harris, Chestnut, Alexander, Johnson, Banks, 5 of them have all been starters at the Power 5 level at some point in their career. Well, forgive me, 4 of them, because obviously Zy Alexander hadn't been at the Power 5, but he's 2-time FCS All-American. So let's say 4 have been Power 5 starters, 5 have been starters and played at a very high level at times in their career. Y'all, only 2 can play because Greg Brooks is coming back and he's your starting nickel. So you look at this and you just look at the contrast of, man, the third guy in 2022 was Colby Richardson, a McNeese transfer who had to bulk up and was sort of a surprise. Your third option might be a guy who was all conference in the ACC this past year. He might be your third or fourth guy. Your third or fourth guy might be a 2-time FCS All-American. You built depth now at that position. You built depth and talent at that position, and it allows you to bring in the young guys like Javian Toviano and let them come along slowly and kind of cultivate their skill set around this defensive back room. It's just, there's a lot of reason to be optimistic when you consider that wasn't an elite group this past year, but they were good enough. And on paper, just with the numbers you have and the skins on the wall these dudes already have, you are dramatically better than you were just this past year. And all of these guys have more than 1 year of eligibility. Like, the only player who you could look at legitimately and say, yeah, they won't be back for 2024 is Sevyn Banks. And you may always lose a guy to a portal here or there. We just know the nature of the game now. But you've built depth, and you've built great quality top-line starting ability, experience. You've got experience and quality depth, and you've got young talent that you can grow through your program as well. I mean, what Brian Kelly and his staff proved this past year, y'all, which we knew, was that they can coach. We knew they could coach. And when you stack elite signing classes on top of each other and marry that with this coaching, now you're competing for championships. And it's going to be in short order for LSU's back in there as well. So they've addressed the defensive front. We knew that they had to. They've added 3 dudes already along the defensive front. Now they've really hammered the secondary in the transfer portal. I guess from here you look forward to say, okay, where else can you supplement with great talented players who want to be a part of a winning culture? And that's going to be the charge here for Brian Kelly and his staff the rest of the way. So Tigers add a couple of cornerbacks this weekend and a defensive lineman, and I would venture a guess that they're probably not quite done yet either. Okay, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us here. I intentionally put off talking about the Saints. I didn't want to lead the show with it, put everybody in a bad mood. I had a great weekend. Hopefully you did as well. College football's national championship game is coming up here in 3.5 hours or so. I'm excited about the day. I'm not excited about the Saints. I think, or really their short-term future. But we'll I guess get to that at some point in time. I got it on the rundown. Talk about Michael Thomas in about 30 minutes, and talk about the Saints and the Panthers in about an hour from right now. So we'll sprinkle it in throughout the show. But realistically, if you're as disappointed today as I am, you understand why I'm putting it off a little bit. All right, let me knock on a break, y'all. We'll come back. We're heading out to L.A. Our buddy Ross Dellinger, a college football writer for Sports Illustrated, is going to join us next. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows door siding, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. To L.A. we go. Delhi is next.
AFR.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performs.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We haven't had a whole lot of time, honestly, to reflect on a lot of things. You just kind of, in college football, you just wake up and you go to the next day, and it doesn't really slow down much. And so you don't have a lot of time to sit back and reflect. The players, I think, are really in a good place mentally. They know what they've done to get ready to go play well. It's been a fun ride. I think when it's all over, we have some time to sit back and look at it all, then we'll be able to take it in and reflect a little bit more than we have up to this point.
TCU head coach Sonny Dykes getting ready to play for the Natty tonight. Ross Dellenger, Sports Illustrated, on a busy day, good enough to join us out from L.A. How are you, man?
Good. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm good, man. Thanks for the time. I know it's busy, so Happy New Year to you out there. Vibe, first time in Natty's in a professional stadium in L.A. What's it like?
Well, it's very un-LA-like right now. It is raining here, which it rains about once a month here. In fact, I've been out here quite a bit over the last few years. I've never seen it as gray and rainy as I've seen it today. They have what's called a bomb cyclone that has come ashore in Northern California. Without getting into auto meteorology stuff, it's something off of the Pacific that happens not very often, and we're getting the tail end of it down here. So it is raining. It is cold. It's somewhat gross. You know, it's probably 50, and as you can hear, there's jets going over me too. But the stadium is right near the airport. It's like 2 miles from the airport. But it's a weird one. You know, you expect to come to L.A. to be 70 and sunny. And, no, it is actually pretty nasty right now out. But the stadium's beautiful. Yeah. You know, it is gorgeous. It's open on the sides, Matt. It's covered. The top of it is covered. And it's covered in transparent, like glass. Like it's see-through on the top. But on the side, it is open. And there was a concern that if it rained and the wind kicked up, which is possible, that you would get some rain into the stands and onto the field. It would have to blow pretty good, but it's possible.
That's fascinating. I mean, I've seen the stadium. Obviously, many of us have, but I don't know that anybody had seen. I mean, look, the Super Bowl was there a year ago, so I don't know that anybody had seen, though, the rain ever get into SoFi. But as far as the game itself, Ross, but by the way, have you noticed, and look, this is obviously very inexact, and it's a corporate event, but fans, do you see a lot of purple, a lot of red and black? What do you see?
Certainly more red and black here over the last few days, and they really rolled in Saturday. You know, the airport Saturday night was wild. I had to pick up somebody at the airport, and it was a 45-minute wait at the airport, and it was a lot of red and black coming out of the terminal. So certainly more red and black than TCU, but you know, interest in this game probably isn't as high as they'd like as far as fan attendance. First of all, it's rainy and nasty here. Second of all, it's in LA, so locals here don't quite care as much about college football if the game was somewhere else. And then you just got the cross-country trip, and Georgia competed last year. So, you know, I think ticket prices in the secondary market are dropping, from what I understand, pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see if it's even full. I don't know that we'll have a full stadium. And I'll give you an idea of, you know, what it's like here. I had an Uber from the airport when I got here, and the guy overheard me and another person in the back seat talking about the game, and he said, "Oh, are you here for a game?" And I said, "Yes, college football playoff championship game." And he said, "Oh, so what is that exactly?" So that gives you an idea of LA.
Yeah. For all the reasons college football fans don't want this game played in a place like this, I get it. But I also understand if you're the networks and your TV and you're trying to make something splashy, I understand it as well. Ross Dellenger is with us. Let's talk about the game itself. Are there any notable going to be any notable injuries or absences in this ball game?
Yeah, you got two to watch, one on each team. Kendre Miller, the running back for TCU, really good back, has played really well this year. He's about 50-50 or so, it seems like. I think he said that at media day to us on Saturday, 50-50, kind of a game-time decision. Darnell Washington, big old tight end, 6'7", 270 for Georgia, big blocking tight end. He is the same situation. He's a game-time decision. I think there's more of a possibility that he plays or gives it a try. Kendre Miller's dealing with an MCL, knee injury, ligament injury, and I don't know. I kind of doubt that he's going to play, but they're both kind of game-time decisions. So we'll see. We'll be monitoring that. Something to monitor if you're a bettor. Something to monitor pregame on the field. The
line has gone up a bit as Georgia money has come in. It's back to about 13.5 as I just saw. So I thought maybe the opposite might happen. You'd see more and more money coming in on TCU. You'd see that line go down, but the opposite's happened there. Are you a believer in TCU as a team that could legitimately challenge tonight?
No.
Okay.
And I haven't all season, and they just keep proving me wrong. And maybe I'm just looking too much at the talent disparity in all these games, but it doesn't seem to matter. They continue to beat these teams who are, you know, more talented, and that says something about the coaching at TCU. It probably says something about their quarterback, Max Duggan, in his play, and it says something about the opportunistic and fly around the football type of their defense. And we saw it against Michigan. They had 2 pick sixes and 2 huge goal line stands basically against the Wolverines. That's 28 points, and they're going to need that against Georgia. You know, they're going to need at least probably 14, 21 points from something different than their offense. You know, they're going to need to get stops on the goal line like that. They're going to need to maybe have a defensive or special teams touchdown. You know, I mean, look at just the talent disparity, Matt. I think Georgia on its team has around 70 players who are rated 4 or 5-star recruits, 70, and TCU has 17. So it's crazy. The disparity is unbelievable. TCU has 1 5-star, 1. Georgia has 18. So it's disparity's there for sure.
Who is the 5-star? Is it Marcel Brooks?
That's a good question. I don't know.
When
I was going through their recruiting rankings, I didn't even see who it was. But it might be. You might be right. Yeah.
I mean, Marcel Brooks, of course, who was on LSU's national championship team, transferred to TCU, has switched positions a bunch, but he was a 5-star by some of the services anyway. That would be fascinating. He's on Twitter at Ross Dellenger. Make sure you follow us up there at Sports Illustrated. The quarterback matchup maybe is unlikely as you might imagine in an era of superstars. Here you have Max Duggan and Stetson Bennett. How do you handicap the two signal callers?
Yeah, really, both of them are really great stories, right? You've got Max Duggan that, when COVID hit 2020, because of all the testing they did, they found that he had, and I forgot what the name of the illness is, and they thought he might not ever play again. He had surgery for whatever this issue is. I believe it was a cardiac issue. And he bounced back, ended up playing. And then this year, he starts the season as a backup. And the starter gets hurt, which was Chandler Morris. Starter gets hurt, and Max takes over. And then, just incredible play from him. He makes some great plays. And then Stetson, of course, we all know, right? 25 years old, has persevered. Also started kind of his career midway through his career as a backup. Was at junior college. They're both just incredible stories. And it is surprising that we have two teams. We always talk about how important the quarterback position is, and hey, in this era of college football, you need a star at quarterback. Well, you got two guys that I wouldn't call them. They're not going to be first-round draft picks. They're not going to be second-round draft picks either. So, but they're here, and that tells a lot about the team in general, right? Just the defense and other parts of the offense. And Quentin Johnson has obviously helped Max Duggan a ton. He's a receiver for TCU, and look at Stetson and what kind of defense he has on the other side of the ball. So they got help. We got two really true teams here. It's not like one big star on either team is the reason they're here.
Yeah. Last thing for you, man. I look at Georgia, and I think we've just defaulted to them because of who they are and who they've proven they are. But the last two times out, we have seen that defense absolutely annihilated. LSU put up over 500 yards in the air, and then we saw Ohio State do the same. Why am I to believe that Georgia's defense is going to hold up against that TCU offense, which just shredded Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question. And, I think it's the number one thing you look at early on in the game to see how maybe the game's going to go is Georgia's secondary holding up. Are they able to cover TCU's receivers, which, again, mentioned Quentin Johnson, right? He's really good and put up incredible numbers this year. Can they, I think he averages around 90 receiving yards a game or so. Can they slow him down? Can they cover him? Because you're right. I think Ohio State put up 380 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. LSU put up over 500. I don't know, a lot of that was when Georgia had a 2 or 3 touchdown lead, but still, there's been some gaps in the back end. And, watch Keely Ringo. I think he's number 5. Cornerback, going to be highly drafted. He's got to have a big game tonight for Georgia.
He's Ross Dellenger. Follow him on Twitter at Ross Dellenger. Of course, Sports Illustrated. You can go read all his stuff there. He's in L.A. covering the national championship game. Rainy, gloomy L.A. covering the national championship game. Enjoy it, Delly. Thanks for the time, man. We appreciate it.
All right, man. See y'all.
All right, man. Be well. Of course, you can bet on tonight's game over at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Friends of DraftKings always have great promos. This may be the best one. If you're a college football fan, or even if you're not, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Bet $5 on tonight's game. Bet just $5 on the game. And they'll give you $200 in free bets. You don't have to win. Just bet $5 on the game. They'll just give you $200 in free bets. It's at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. That's for new customers, and you got to use the promo code Baton Rouge. So maybe you've been with another app. Cool. Here's a great chance to just download DraftKings and take advantage of this special. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Bet just $5 on tonight's national championship game with Georgia and TCU. They'll give you $200 in free bets. Of course, it's not just for new customers. If you're an existing customer, you can bet on anything. You bet on college basketball, the NBA, the NFL playoffs, which are staring us right in the face. And, DraftKings love great incentives there as well. So be on the lookout there in the app. Great time to do it. If you haven't done it yet, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. One free bet issued based on amount of initial losing NFL bet up to $10. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms. Licensing partner Gold Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, it's after further review. I mentioned LSU picked up a few commitments over the weekend, a couple of cornerbacks and a defensive lineman. Preston Hickey is the defensive lineman from Mandeville who had been at Oklahoma State, who committed to LSU this weekend as a preferred walk-on. Preston Hickey's going to join us in 30 minutes. So right at the top of hour number 2, we'll talk about how that visit went, some of the guys he met, impressions of the coaches, Jamar Cain playing for the home state school. All that we'll get to here in about half an hour from right now. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. We'll go around the SEC, get you caught up on a lot of the recruiting from this past weekend, as there was plenty of it around the Southeastern Conference. And in 15 minutes, we'll talk about Michael Thomas, whose time in New Orleans is, for all intents and purposes, over. That's all coming up right here on a Monday edition of AFR.
AFR.
Boy, a great time to get by Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, you know where they are. Siega near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every day, buy local, shop local over at Clegg's Nursery. But really is the time. I say it often, but different times a year bring on different times of the planting season. So you can accent your winter landscape right now with a beautiful camellia from Clegg's. They're very showy plants. They're budded and they're blooming. It's a great time of year right now if you want to add that splash of color to your winter garden. Also, you can brighten your garden patio with pansies, snapdragons. Clegg's has an excellent selection, and their roses for 2023 are going to be arriving soon at Clegg's with more than 50 varieties of roses. There's no better place than Clegg's Nursery. So stop in and see what's new at Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations. Buy local, shop local. Be sure to tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2022 Ford F-150, plus no payments for 90 days and 2.9% APR for 72 months. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Miller Lite has more taste and only one more calorie.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Saints season came to an appropriate end with a thud. A 10-7 loss to Carolina. You got swept by a division opponent for the first time since 2015. The year the Carolina Panthers went 15-1 and won the NFC. That's the last time the Saints were swept by a divisional opponent. Just an embarrassing way to finish an awful season. And I guess how spoiled are we that a 7-win season in these parts is considered awful, but we are spoiled, and the expectation has clearly changed. A lot of people are wondering about Dennis Allen. And we'll talk about the game yesterday, which there's not much that needs to be said, but we'll go a deeper dive into the offseason coming up in hour number 2. But a lot of people are asking about Dennis Allen, his future. So because the season ended today, Monday, they had their season-ending press conference, and Dennis Allen seems to think he's going to be back.
I don't think there's any need to discuss that any further, and I'm certainly going forward with that. Anticipation. That's the indication that I've been given, and I'm excited about it. Look, again, 7-10 is not where we want to be, but we're not as far off as maybe some might think. But there's areas that we have to improve on.
They're far off. I disagree with him. They're far off because of him. There was a great illustration of this last night, and you've heard me say before, I've said Dennis Allen's a lieutenant, not a general. And not every great assistant coach is meant to be a head coach. And there's things they do exceptionally well. And I think Dennis Allen is a magnificent defensive coordinator. He's just never going to be a winning head coach in the NFL. And look, 10 years from now, if we rewind the clock and he's won a couple of Super Bowls and he's been a pillar of success and consistency in the NFL, you can all point and laugh at me. It's fine. I just don't think that's going to be the case. But if you were watching Sunday Night Football, this was a great illustration of it. So it was Lions-Packers. Lions have already learned their season's over. Okay, when Seattle won earlier in the day, the Lions were eliminated from the postseason. But they're at 8-8 in the season, as was Green Bay. And Green Bay needed to win to get in. So Sunday Night Football, division matchup at Lambeau, where the Packers have owned the Lions historically. And the Lions, all they're really playing for is pride and an opportunity to keep Green Bay out of the playoffs. And Detroit and former Saint assistant Dan Campbell, who, by the way, when he took the job and he was talking about biting people's kneecaps we laughed at him. The press conference was hilarious. I had Musso just scrolling Dan Campbell press conference. We thought about doing a weekly bit on Mondays here where we would just take the funniest thing Dan Campbell said out of a press conference on a given Sunday and played it on Monday. But not many people are laughing anymore because of look at what Detroit's done. They missed the postseason, but they were 9-8. They're 2 games better than the Saints this year. But in the fourth quarter, there's about 9 minutes to go in the ball game. And Detroit's down by 3. And they have a 4th and 2 at the Packer 25. Packer 25-yard line. So your options are you can kick a 42-yard field goal and tie it with about 9 minutes to play in the game, or you can go for it. There was no hesitation whatsoever. As soon as the ball carrier on the 3rd and 8 play, it was DeAndre Swift who went around left end and got 6 yards. As soon as DeAndre Swift went down, Campbell is motioning to his offense, stay on the field, stay on the field, stay on the field. And you're thinking, maybe they're going to hard count him here. They're going to try to give Aaron Rodgers a dose of his own medicine. Oh, no. They ran a play in the left flat to DJ Chark, incidentally, who caught the ball. And a few plays later, let's see, they caught it. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plays later, they were in the end zone. Of course, then Detroit would pick off Aaron Rodgers. They would convert the first down to run out the clock. And Tirico and Collinsworth on the broadcast were relaying a conversation they had with Dan Campbell. And Campbell was saying it was a lesson he learned from Sean Payton when he was with the Saints about knowing when to be appropriately aggressive. And that was a perfect illustration of the difference between a coach that is aggressive but not careless. And by contrast, what the Saints had this year with Dennis Allen, who I think threw a challenge flag 4 times all year. A guy who was conservative, close to the vest, defensive instead of offensive. And you just can't coach and win that way. At least not win at the highest level. Sometimes you have to go make your fortune, like Dan Campbell did with that 4th and 2 call. And like I said, all those years with Sean Payton, you take the good with the bad. The guy that's going to attempt an onside kick to start the second half of the Super Bowl, you take that result along with the bad when they're aggressive, and sometimes it hurts or costs or it doesn't work out. But you'd rather that team always on the offensive being aggressive, and the Saints weren't that this year. The Saints were last in the NFL in takeaways. At one point, they led the NFL in the amount of penalties. They were just not a disciplined or aggressive football team this year. And that leaves you in this very weird, gelatinous spot of mediocre where you're just a blob of mediocrity. And that's what the Saints were. Sometimes they look good on offense. Sometimes they look good on defense. Sometimes they were bad on both. That's the makings of a 7-10 football team. You're neither elite nor the worst in the league. And that's what the Saints were this year, unfortunately. And I don't know that it ever gets better with Dennis Allen at the helm. So all indications are he's going to be back. I think we knew that was the case, but I don't have much confidence in this front office and their confidence in a guy that is proven there's a large enough sample size now. There is a large enough sample size now, Dennis Allen as a head coach, but with the Raiders and the Saints, to suggest he is not ever going to be an elite head coach in the NFL. So maybe he'll prove me and many others wrong. I just don't see the day. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. We do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Tennessee Volunteers.
Juwan Mitchell has entered the transfer portal, started 7 to 10 games this year for the Vols at linebacker. He's a second-year transfer from Texas, so he'll head elsewhere for his final season of eligibility. 3 of the 4 seniors who are part of the linebacker rotation at Tennessee are moving on now with Mitchell entering the portal.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky announced wide receiver Tavion Robinson is returning to the Wildcats for next season. He's a transfer from Virginia Tech who finished this year 2nd in receptions, 3rd in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. Robinson was also Kentucky's primary punt returner this year. Of course, Kentucky's already added quarterback Devin Leary from NC State.
The Auburn Tigers.
Defensive tackle Lawrence Johnson has picked the Auburn Tigers, 6'4", 285-pounder. He is the 7th transfer and 8th defensive lineman addition to Auburn's squad in this offseason. He was a 3-star, spent the last 5 years at Purdue. He'll finish his career at Auburn, as will former LSU linebacker Demario Tolan, who pledged to Auburn this weekend.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Ole Miss linebacker Jerron Willis has committed to South Carolina. He was a 4-star recruit, 2nd transfer to commit to South Carolina on Sunday, joining Western Illinois offensive tackle Sidney Fugar. Willis is a 6'2", 220-pound backer who is the number 19 ranked player in the country at his position. He'll play linebacker for the Gamecocks with 4 years of eligibility remaining.
The Missouri Tigers.
Mizzou added 2 pieces for its 2023 roster this weekend. Eastern Michigan grad transfer offensive lineman Marcellus Johnson, a 3-year starter at left tackle who started the final 32 games of his career there at Eastern Michigan, and a former Florida defensive player, Trevez Johnson, who started 9 games this past year in the defensive backfield.
The Florida Gators.
And after signing just 1 linebacker from the high school ranks in 2023, Florida has already added Ohio State linebacker Taraja Mitchell, and now they've added Michigan linebacker Deuce Spurlack, who committed to the Gators this past weekend. 6'1", 231, he's a middle linebacker from Alabama who joined Michigan before the 2022 season. So after 1 year there in Ann Arbor playing in 2 seasons, the former 3-star prospect headed back south to finish his career with the Florida Gators. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. You know where to find them, gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale, that's what you get at Gulf Coast Office Products. They are a national leader among Savin dealers. but they proudly service all makes and models. It's Gulf Coast Office Products. If you need office equipment, you need Gulf Coast Office Products. Online at gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, y'all, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. Come back, wrap up hour number 1. Michael Thomas and the Saints are restructured the wide receiver's contract over the weekend. What it means, essentially, is that his career in New Orleans is over. We'll delve into some of the particulars when we return to wrap up hour number 1 next.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys. Of course, Gordon, we've been talking so much about the Gordfather of NIL, doing so much for student athletes and really so much for our communities. Right now, if you go to Gordon's Instagram or Twitter, all of his social media pages, you can win a free autographed Jaden Daniels football. All the deets are there on social media. Twitter, go there at Get Gordon on Twitter. Retweet, tag a friend for a chance to win. Engage with that tweet. It'll end this coming Friday, the 20th. Or I'm sorry, that would be next Friday, the 20th. You can go to Facebook or Instagram for full details as well. You can win a Jaden Daniels autographed football. You can also win $2,500 at Get Gordon. Go to getgordon.com or go to any of the Gordon McKernan injury attorney socials. You'll see how if you dance to the Get Gordon jingle, you could win $2,500. All the deets are there. Get Gordon and get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. The lawyer representing one of the state troopers accused of malfeasance in office and negligent homicide tied to Ronald Green's death says he believes a jury will clear his client. Corey York scheduled to be arraigned next month in North Louisiana. His attorney saying state prosecutors got it all wrong. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Wrapping up hour number 1. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows. Glad to have you aboard with us here. You probably saw the news over the weekend that the New Orleans Saints have restructured Michael Thomas's contract. For all intents and purposes, that ends Michael Thomas's time in New Orleans. It gives the Saints options, but realistically what it does is it lets them get out of this deal with Michael Thomas in a way that will be financially beneficial to New Orleans and let Michael Thomas go and find somewhere else to resume his career and hopefully do so and be healthy and have a long, prosperous career elsewhere as he sort of hits the reset button in another spot. So, essentially, Michael Thomas's base salary in 2023 has been reduced from $15.5 million to $1.65 million. They added a $31.7 million roster bonus for the 2024 league year that becomes fully guaranteed on the third day of the 2023 league year. So basically, if Michael Thomas is on the Saints roster on March 17th of this year, his $31.7 million roster bonus for next year becomes fully guaranteed, which there is a better chance of me playing receiver for the Saints in 2024 than Michael Thomas being on the Saints in 2024 with a fully guaranteed $31.7 million roster bonus. That's how absurd the notion is, which tells you what this is. Now, they gave him a signing bonus of $902,000, which amounts to an extra game check. They've already restructured his contract on multiple occasions. So when you look at the numbers, and I'm going to try not to bore you with this, and I'm trying to make this as simple as I can. And if you're watching on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube or on WBTR, you'll see this, and it might make it a little easier if you're visual. But if you're listening on radio, it'll be a little tougher, but I'll do my best here. So, by the way, if you're on YouTube, please smash that like button. We appreciate it. If you look at Michael Thomas's contract, he signed the 5-year, $96 million deal. Okay. They've already restructured a couple of times. When you look at the way it's structured now for 2023, Michael Thomas, his base salary is $1.1 million. So if you're watching, there it is right there. So 2023, the base salary is $1.1 million. That's this number right here. Okay. His cap hit is $14.1 million. It means he costs $14 million against the cap if he plays for the Saints this year. His dead cap number is $26.1, meaning if he's not on the roster, he would count $26.1 million against the cap. So you're going to say, well, Matt, that makes a lot of sense, right? Then it would make sense to cut him because it will cost you $12 million more to cut him than it would to have him on the roster. Not exactly, which is why you can look at the designated releases. So and this is all on Spotrac, by the way, if you want to check it out. So you could see all this. You pull this up, Paulie. So if you look at the designations like we were just talking about, if they designate him as a post-June 1 release, the dead cap number for 2023 falls to $11.9 million. And then for next year, it's at 14.1, and then it essentially saves you over $2 million for this year. So what the Saints are going to do, again, there's no way that Michael Thomas is going to be on the roster this March, which would guarantee a $31.7 million roster bonus for 2024. There's just no way. So they'll cut him, release him with a post-June 1 designation. So he can go figure out what he wants to do and where he wants to be, work out for whatever team, however that formality goes. But it'll just formally go off the books on June 1 or after June 1 for cap purposes. But there's just no sensible way with the way they've restructured this that the Saints are going to keep Michael Thomas on the team. His time in New Orleans is over. There's no sensible way that you could think to keep him on the roster with this deal. So It is massively unfortunate. A draft pick in round 2 of 2016 had a record-breaking start to his career, was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year 1 year after signing this massive contract. And then just the last 3 years, he's played in a combined 10 games. His career has just been completely derailed by injuries. And it's massively disappointing. It'll go down as one of the greatest disappointments in Saints history, considering how he started his career. But this restructure effectively, doesn't formally, but effectively ends the Michael Thomas era in New Orleans. He'll find a new team, and the Saints will move on with Chris Olave, with potentially re-signing Jarvis Landry. They are going to need to address receiver. You've got Rashid Shaheed. Marquez Callaway is a restricted free agent this offseason, so they've got work to do at receiver, but it's pretty clear Michael Thomas is not going to be part of the New Orleans Saints moving forward. All right, it's after further review. Sports Center coming up. When we come back, let's talk to Preston Hickey, defensive lineman transferred in from Oklahoma State. That's next on AFR.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand. Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Bill safety Damar Hamlin's been released from the University of Cincinnati Medical Center and transferred to a hospital in Buffalo to resume his recovery. Another sign of the remarkable progress he's made 1 week after going into cardiac arrest during a game. And he certainly enjoyed the Bills' win yesterday, especially teammate Nyheim Hines' opening kickoff return for a touchdown. Explains UCMC doctor Tim Pritz.
You watched the game on yesterday. When the opening kickoff was run back, he jumped up and down, got out of his chair, set, I think, every alarm off in the ICU in the process. But he was fine. It was just an appropriate reaction to a very exciting play. So he very much enjoyed it and enjoys the support from everyone.
Cliff Kingsbury's time in Arizona is over. The Cardinals fired their head coach 10 months after signing him to an extension through the 2027 season, so he walks away with over $30 million. His 4-year tenure marred by underachieving and undisciplined football and one playoff appearance. In addition, Cardinals GM Steve Keim stepping away from his position in order to focus on his health.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
So. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here to let you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Saints season came to an end Sunday with a thud, losing 10-7 to the Panthers. We'll get to that, recapping the game itself, and a lot of what Dennis Allen had to say, meeting with the media on Monday, recapping his first season as the Saints head coach. It was a productive weekend for Brian Kelly and his staff as they hosted a slew of recruits on campus, picked up a couple of commitments in the defensive backfield, and one on the defensive line from an in-state guy who's an interesting prospect. Preston Hickey was an all-state defensive lineman at St. Paul's there in Mandeville, went to Oklahoma State for a season, hopped in the portal, and is now going to join LSU as a preferred walk-on. And Preston Hickey joins us here for a couple of minutes. Preston, we appreciate the time, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on your show.
Hey, man, it's our pleasure. You got an interesting story, man. I'd kind of like to go back before we go forward. Let's talk a little bit about your high school recruitment. I know at one point you were committed to Bama as a PWO. You flipped to Oklahoma State. How much interest did you have from other places when you were coming out of St. Paul's?
Yeah, so, my story is different. I was an under-radar type of guy. I really matured later, and I started out my junior year. The coaches talked to me about transitioning to defensive line, and at the time I was about 230 pounds, and obviously that's not that big, right, for defensive line, and I'm not a guy that runs a 4.5 40. So I had a pretty good junior year. Then that off season, I talked to my dad. We were talking. I was like, look, I think I could play inside, this and that. And my dad's like, look, no one's ever been 300 pounds in our family, so you'll be a first. And I said, well, we'll see what happens. And God blessed me, and I just continued to grow and get bigger and bigger. I worked with my mentor. I don't know if you remember Houston Bates. He played St. Paul's.
Sure.
Then eventually played with the Redskins. But we trained that whole off season. Really worked on hands, everything, crafty for D-line. And I give a lot of my credit to him. then going into my senior season, obviously, I still, a little interest, D3 here and there. I got a D1 Valparaiso, but that was it. And then I hit the camp cycle that senior summer going into my senior year, and went to LSU. I had a really good camp. I worked with the elite group, but it was Coach O's staff at the time. I didn't get anything from LSU, and then I had a few other good camps, and then I went to Alabama, and then after the Alabama camp, actually Coach Pete Golden, he offered me a PWO. So that's kind of, the base of my high school career. And then eventually Oklahoma State just kept getting on me. And I eventually flipped to Oklahoma State. But the whole time, LSU, I grew up LSU fan. LSU never left my blood. I'm like every other kid, grew up in Louisiana. I dreamed of playing in Death Valley, running out that stadium. And I'm super blessed and extremely fortunate to have that dream become a reality.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool, the pictures that you post on social media, wearing the LSU jersey and the helmet as a kid. You're right, man. So many of us have those exact pictures in some form or fashion from our childhood. I'm curious, did the COVID year disrupt your development, your recruitment at all? Because I think that's a familiar story, Preston, we're going to hear from a lot of guys who played high school football through COVID, because it did basically cost a lot of guys a year to be seen by recruiters.
Yeah, I do think it did hurt. It couldn't have helped, but I don't think it hurt as much as the class, the 2021 class. In a way, I think it really helped me because spending time at my house. My dad, I've been in the gym since 8th grade at 4:45 in the morning, lifting weights, and then I would run in the afternoon. So having all that COVID time to really just focus and train. At the time, during COVID, I wasn't all that big yet, so I probably wouldn't have gotten any sniffs from any colleges anyway. So it really was a good development time for me, because I was at the end of my sophomore year when COVID hit. And actually at Oklahoma State, I was strongest on the team bench wise. I hit the biggest bench press on the team, 405. So yeah.
Wait, what did you bench?
405. My freshman year was the best on the team.
That's incredible, man. Wait, so you were at Oklahoma State one season or two?
One season.
So so just this 2022 season. So did why make the decision to leave Oklahoma State, especially if they believed in you so much coming out of school?
Yeah, so the opportunity was there at the March. So last March. LSU had reached out to me about coming over and playing for LSU as a PWO, and at the time it was just kind of late because Coach Kelly's staff was just now getting to LSU and getting everything organized, and so I just thought, it's kind of late, although I really thought that's probably where I want to be, but I just ended up sticking with my commitment to Oklahoma State, and just while being in Oklahoma State, you realize with playing for the state of Louisiana, playing for LSU, wearing that gold helmet, white jersey, gold pants really means. And, and just seeing what Coach Kelly and his staff are doing and how Coach Kelly runs his program, that led me back to LSU, and I'm just really blessed to be there.
Preston Hickey's with us, LSU commitment, visited this past weekend. He'll transfer in from Oklahoma State as a PWO. Did they talk to you about the opportunity? And look, this is this conversation you and I are having right now, Preston. It's almost exactly the same conversation that we had on this show a year ago with Gregory Clayton, who transferred into LSU as a preferred walk-on and ended up becoming LSU's primary punt returner this year. So, they value guys from Louisiana. So I'm interested, talking a little bit about your visit this past weekend. You said you camped at LSU with Coach O's staff. I'm curious your thoughts seeing what Coach O's staff was like, and then now here with Brian Kelly. Just what stood out to you being on campus now for the second time, but with a different staff?
Yeah, so really Coach Kelly's staff, Coach Kelly, I had great talks with him and great time on my visit, but Coach Kelly runs his program, strict. There's no BS. He runs it like an NFL program. Everything that's going into works, a lot of people don't even know what's happening, but it will soon be coming out. Just the big organization playing for LSU, and just think how Coach Kelly runs his team is really special.
Did you have a chance to visit with Jamar Cain?
Yes, I did.
So how did those conversations go? What stood out chatting with your new position coach?
Yeah, Coach Kane. I believe Coach Kane is one of the best defensive line coaches in the country, and just talking schematics with him, it's sort of the same type of defense we were running at Oklahoma State, so it kind of lines up good, and I'll have a good base of what I'm doing going into spring ball. But my role is, I'll have an opportunity during the spring to prove to myself and, maybe be a guy of depth during the season.
Are you a guy that sees yourself playing inside or out in this defense?
Inside at the nose.
Okay, inside at the nose. Now, so how big are you now? You mentioned that I think that maybe you were around 290. So how big are you now?
Yeah, so on my visit, I measured 6'1", I weighed 300 pounds on the dot.
Okay, on the dot. So you can tell your dad, hey, man, we got a 300-pounder in the family.
That's right.
It took a lot of crawfish and boudin and whatnot, but you got there.
That's right.
Hey, so the other thing, too, you mentioned the depth. And LSU has made defensive line such a focus this offseason to build the numbers back up there. And they've already added 3 Power 5 transfers on top of getting Mason Smith back and Mekhi Window. I mean, you know all this already. So when you look at the numbers, was it in any way maybe a deterrent looking at how many bodies they have there, seeing how you might fit in on the depth chart?
No, look, when you go to a school like LSU, I mean, to be starting as a redshirt freshman, I mean, that's pretty good. So I don't necessarily think, rush the process. Learn from those guys. Learn from what they are. I mean, Mekhi, he's All-American. I had a great time talking with him. Mason Smith was preseason All-American. Unfortunately, what happened to him. And then obviously the transfers, they've done great at their old schools, and I'm just excited to learn from them, learn from Coach Kane, and just really see what happens.
You got any favorite memories as a kid growing up watching the Tigers?
I guess really Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, he was unreal. Those are the memories. I really like Kyle Williams. That's who I kind of try to model my game after.
That's a good one to model, man. That was a guy who was an All-American and played a long time in the NFL. Preston Hickey, LSU defensive line transfer coming in from Oklahoma State, a Louisiana guy, obviously something Brian Kelly has prioritized. Hey, man, congrats on your decision. We're looking forward to seeing you when you strap it up with the purple and gold, man. Good luck to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on. Go Tigers.
That's our pleasure. Preston Hickey, that's a dude fans are going to love. You better believe that. I mean, you want to talk about Louisiana. It's the thing that whenever we talk about transfers and we talk about the portal and this new culture and age of college football, of NIL, it's the thing that I often talk about where there are guys like him who will forego other opportunities just for the opportunity to do what he said. Put on that gold helmet and run through the tunnel in Death Valley. It's like every kid's dream when they live in this state. So LSU got another one. Guy who's going to provide some depth. Let's see what he might be able to build into. Preston Hickey, we appreciate a couple of minutes from him. Okay, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back, and we'll turn the page, talk a little Saints, Panthers from yesterday, and looking ahead to the offseason for the New Orleans Saints, as Dennis Allen did meet with the media on Monday to talk a lot about what's ahead for the New Orleans Saints. Stick around here. It's AFR.
AFR.
All right, Natty, tonight, you need a place to watch. You can always get by Pluckers. Of course, the Bluebonnet location right in front of the mall. They've got the 8-foot by 13-foot screen. It's like 4 giant TVs all stacked into a big box. It's enormous. I can't imagine a better place to sit and watch the national championship game than at Pluckers. They'll have the sound pipe through. They, of course, will have award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar. Maybe you're having a game watch party tonight for Georgia TCU, and you want wings? Cool. Order your wings right now from Pluckers, as many quantity, whatever quantity you want, and have them there for all of your guests to enjoy tonight. So you can have wings even at your house if you're having the game watch party for tonight's game at the Homestead. Or if you want to get out to Pluckers, either location, Nicholson or Bluebonnet. Let me remind you, Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. So get there early, stay there throughout the entire game, eat as many wings as you want for one low price every Monday, all-you-can-eat wings. It's Natty Night, Pluckers. You don't like our wings. We'll give you the bird.
Corval Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corval Toyota family to yours.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
From 42, this is good. Carolina wins.
Fitting end to a terrible season for the New Orleans Saints. Saints lose to the Panthers 10-7. They finished the season 7-10, 4-5 at home. That thudding loss to Carolina breaks a 3-game winning streak, the one little glimmer of hope throughout this otherwise bleak season for New Orleans. And the goodwill built up over the last 3 weeks instantly washed away with that awful performance. We can delve into some of the game itself, although I'm assuming for the large majority of you, what happened on Sunday isn't much the story. It's more what happened throughout the course of the season to lead to Sunday and what might happen in this offseason. But for the issue at hand, here was Dennis Allen after the game.
Finish of that game, we didn't do enough good things to win the game. I thought, we dominated in a lot of different areas with exception of the scoreboard, and we had some opportunities. We didn't take advantage of it. And so it's what happens when you don't take advantage of your opportunities. You let a team hang around, and we let these guys hang around, and they kept fighting, and they had an opportunity to win it at the end. You
played a really good half of football. First half, the Saints did, in fact, dominate. At one point, the Saints were sitting on a total yardage advantage of like 199-26. But you lost a game where the opposing quarterback was 5 of 15 for 43 yards and 2 interceptions. Let me say that again slowly. Say this again real slowly. Oh, listen. By the nature of the fact that you're listening to the show, you watch a lot of sports. You consume a lot of sports. You're a sports fan such to the degree that even when games aren't being played, you're listening to me and others talk about the games that were played. Sam Darnold was 5 of 15 for 43 yards and 2 interceptions. And he doesn't play for a service academy. And they won the football game. You have to be some kind of awful as far as managing the game and your opportunities to lose when the opposing quarterback is 5 of 15 for 43 yards and 2 picks. Saints outgained Carolina 304-203. You threw for 161 on the day, nothing to write home about, but when Carolina as a team threw for 32 passing yards, that's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Costly turnover by Chris Olave. Couple of missed field goals by Will Lutz. And there you have it. A bad football team finding a way to lose a game because that's what bad football teams do. And the New Orleans Saints are a bad football team. Now, they have some good players. Make no mistake. Thought DeMario Davis played his butt off. Cam Jordan, even at this point in his career on a losing team, still giving it his all. Caden Ellis has been a surprise. Tyrann Mathieu came away with a pick yesterday. You had a makeshift offensive line that for a half of football dominated. I thought Alvin Kamara ran very hard in the ball game and was certainly a bright spot. You have talented players. You're not a good team. That's the difference. Players can accumulate stats. Teams win games, and the Saints didn't win nearly enough because they're a poorly coached team that didn't play well together. So much of the conversation shifts now to this offseason. And Dennis Allen said when he met with the reporters on Monday, and we'll play this here, that the organization is giving him the indication that he will be back.
I don't think there's any need to discuss that any further, and I'm certainly going forward with that anticipation. That's the indication that I've been given, and I'm excited about it. Look, again, 7-10 is not where we want to be, but we're not as far off as maybe some might think. But there's areas that we have to improve on.
You are as far off because there's no reason to believe it's going to improve. That's the disappointing part. You don't have the necessary assets to dramatically improve the team in the nature in which you need to. Yet again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that quarterback cost you the game. You didn't lose the game because of Andy Dalton. Chris Olave had a very costly drop and a fumble. He's been one of your best players offensively this year. But elite quarterbacks win in the NFL. And Andy Dalton is not elite. And since the game where you beat the Raiders 24-0, your offense has been objectively bad. Here are your point totals offensively since that game where you beat Las Vegas 24-0. You scored 13 against the Ravens, 10 in a loss to the Steelers. You beat the Rams 27-20. You were shut out by the 49ers, first time that's happened in 20 years. You scored 16 against the Bucs, 21 against Atlanta, 17 against Cleveland, 20 against Philly, but remember, the Marshawn Lattimore pick six accounted for 7 of those, so your offense only put up 13 points. And then you scored 7 against Carolina. It's dreadful. You're one of the worst offenses in the NFL. And an offense that's got a first-round pick at right tackle, a first-round pick at right guard, a second-round pick at center, a first-round pick at left guard, one of the best running backs in the NFL in Alvin Kamara, a first-round pick in Chris Olave. For you to be as bad as you are offensively is wholly unacceptable. Pete Carmichael deserves a lot of the blame. He's the offensive coordinator. But all of the blame goes back ultimately to the head coach. When the Saints had really bad defenses, Sean Payton made changes at defensive coordinator, no doubt. Spagnuolo, Rob Ryan. But ultimately, Sean Payton was the one that was held accountable because he's the head coach. And you're making the determination in how you play out a football game and how you manage a game and how you manage a roster. Ultimately, the head coach hired those assistants. Ultimately, the head coach helped put together the game plan. Ultimately, the head coach is making personnel decisions. It all points back to the head coach. So if you're sitting here today excusing Dennis Allen because he's not the offensive coordinator, you're missing it. The head coach, just like they get the credit, always gets the blame as well. So how do you fix it? I mean, the fact that they stuck with Andy Dalton, and I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that Jameis magically fixes everything, but the fact that you stubbornly stuck with what you were doing offensively when you could not score 20 points over nearly 2 months is stunning. To just stubbornly stick with the same thing you're doing. That's an issue with the head coach. Dennis Allen on Monday was asked about Jameis and what held him back this season, why he never got back on the field.
Initially it was the injury issue. And then as time went on, I felt like Andy was the one that gave us a better opportunity to win. We didn't win enough games, and so all those things are always going to be questioned and second-guessed. I don't know if second-guess is the right word, but be questioned, and I'm comfortable with that.
So, quarterback was one issue. He said he felt Andy gave him the best chance to win. Maybe if you play Jameis, you lose more. Or maybe not, because he started last year and started the season 5-2. Anyway, so you point the finger at the offensive coordinator. You going to make a change there?
That's not where we're at right now. I think, look, we're going to evaluate everything. We're going to evaluate, just like I get evaluated. We're going to evaluate where we need to improve, and that evaluation has not taken place yet. But that'll happen here shortly, and we'll have a plan moving forward.
Will Lutz made 74% of his kicks this year. It's unfortunate. He's one of the best kickers in the NFL 2 years ago. Got injured, missed all last season, came back this year. For the record, if you're an NFL kicker, you have got to make in excess of 80% of your kicks. It's just a prerequisite. If you're an NFL kicker and you can't make better than 80% of your kicks, you can't kick in the NFL. So Will Lutz, unfortunately, made 74% of his kicks this year. It was just flatly not good enough. What about Will Lutz?
I don't know if there's any one thing that we can put our finger on. Obviously, I don't think he kicked as well as, he's capable of kicking. I think Will would probably say that, And so we all have, starting with me, we all have things that we have to improve on and be better at. And so I don't think any of us can look ourselves in the mirror and say, man, I did everything exactly right this year. I think we all got to look ourselves in the mirror and say, what can I do better, to help this team be where we feel like we're capable of being.
I want to be clear because I know I'm being tough today, but and I don't expect Dennis Allen to go into his press conference the day after the season ended, guns a-blazing, yelling, screaming, hair on fire, shouting about how they're going to fire everybody. Because the fan in me kind of wants to see that, but I also know realistically that's not what's going to happen. They're going to be diligent in their offseason. They're going to make certain decisions. But the problem I had with Dennis Allen today is the problem I've had with Dennis Allen all year, and it's the simple inability to acknowledge what your issues are. The issues that we all see that are very clearly staring you in the face. And you could say, well, you don't fix those in a press conference, and I would agree with you. But actions speak louder than words. And what he's saying in the press conference maps to what he's doing on the field. And that should not lend anyone confidence because you're not seeing changes made that are going to lead to positive results. And I don't know that a guy who has proven to be a very passive coach on the field, I don't know or believe that he will all of a sudden be an aggressive coach in this offseason. He is who he is. He's a lieutenant, not a general. And as long as he's the guy running the show in New Orleans, you can expect more of the same. A very blasé performance. Some good, some bad. Never the worst, never the best. And if that's where you want to reside in the NFL, smack dab in the middle in this perpetual state of mediocrity, then Dennis Allen's your guy. And for the Saints, it appears like he's going to be the guy next year as well, and maybe beyond that. And for as long as he is, you can expect more of the same because he's been pretty consistent in his approach on the field, his approach in the press conferences, and the results have been pretty consistent. You're a terrible offense. You got better on defense sort of at different points as the season went along. But by and large, you are what you are. Just okay. And I don't think that's the standard anybody set around here. All right. You want to get some reaction, and you can. You can always email me, Matt at 1045ESPN.com. You can tweet the show at Matt Moscona. You can jump at the Buy Ford YouTube.
Twitter world.
Thank you, Juice. You can jump at the Buy Ford YouTube chat and the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel, or you can text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. We're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, shawbillstire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service, name brand tires at wholesale prices. Man, I love telling you about my friends over at Shawbills because I love telling you about people that offer not only a great product, but do right by others. It's all about great customer service, and that's Shawbills. When they opened their doors more than 50 years ago, 55 years ago to be exact, it was always about treating you like family. When you buy tires at Shawbills, you get Charlie's Dozen. It's the membership benefit of buying tires at Shawbills, but they extend those benefits to every vehicle in the family, even if you didn't buy those tires at Shawbills. It's just the way you treat people. ShawBillsTire.com. If you need the best tires on the road for the cheapest price possible, you go to Shawbills. And if you want to be treated like family, you go to Shawbills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. All right, y'all, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. A big part of the Saints offseason, a lot of today is sort of the postmortem on the season. We did talk in the last hour about Michael Thomas. By the way, sorry, Muse, I forgot to play this when we talked about Thomas last hour. This, just for the record, here's what Dennis Allen said on Monday about whether or not they made a decision on Michael Thomas.
No, again, there's been no decisions made on anything to this point. I think that was more of a, it kind of gives us, I guess, and him just a little bit more flexibility in terms of what we do as we set our plan going forward.
That's fine to say, but again, he's got a $37 million roster bonus for next year that would be due on May 17th of this year if he's on the roster. He won't be. They'll release him with a post-June 1 designation, and Michael Thomas will play on another team. But just, and I didn't expect him to make that announcement, but it's clear with the way they restructured the deal, that's what's going to happen. But just for the record, that's what Dennis Allen had to say about it. The other giant part of this offseason for New Orleans is what happens with Sean Payton. So we do know Sean Payton has been granted permission to interview with the Denver Broncos. That will happen after January 17th, so 8 days from now. And with this being Black Monday in the NFL and several other head coaching jobs coming available, you better believe that the list of potential suitors for Sean Payton will grow. As they do, we'll certainly talk about him. As a matter of fact, I do want to talk a little Sean Payton at the top of hour 3, so that's coming up in about 30 minutes from right now. Okay, let me knock out a quick break. We'll get some of your calls, texts, emails, tweets. When we come back, if you want to talk Saints, get your reaction in. I do want to give you a quick thought on LSU hoops, which lost a game at Texas A&M on Saturday. We'll get to that next here on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. It's crazy. Yesterday, we were pushing 80 degrees earlier in the day. Tonight, we'll be in the 40s. Such is life around this time of year in South Louisiana. So if you've got issues with your home central heater or with your AC, you know what to do. Call River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001. I'm going to give it to you again. 752-0001 or online at onehourbr.com. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. If you have issues with your heater or your AC, call River City's 1 Hour Air. The thing I'll mention mostly, though, remember, nights, holidays, weekends, they'll always come out and never charge you extra to do so. So if you got an issue, do what I do. Call River City's 1 Hour Air. And be sure to mention the Moscona special. They'll save you $25 off any system repair. That's at River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001 for River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
3 people walk into a bar. The first 2 orders.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
A lot of hard work, standard, belief in the culture within it. It doesn't start when the season starts. It starts Tuesday when the season ends. And it just continues. I mean, I don't know that you can relax and just say, okay, we're going to be fine. You have to make it happen. And I think each and every year you have a different team. Obviously, recruiting plays a part of that because if you don't have good players, you got no chance.
Join former LSU Tigers Aaron and Austin Nola for the 2023 Strikeout ALS Bowling event. The Nola brothers are teaming up once again to help raise critical funds and awareness for the fight against ALS. The 2023 Strikeout ALS will be held at Red Stick Social Thursday, January the 19th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tickets can be purchased at als.org/strikeout ALS.
Kirby sitting there talking about getting his team back. You know, the most comical part, Stetson Bennett is going to play his final collegiate game and might go back-to-back. One of the more improbable stories, right, from a former walk-on to a potential 2-time national champion should they win it tonight, Heisman Trophy finalist, all that sort of stuff. Here was Stetson Bennett at the national championship media availability.
This is what we set out to do this year. There's a lot of people who doubted us. And I know people are gonna be like, "Well, no, we didn't." Well, yeah, you did.
What an idiot.
Maybe not doubted us as far as unranked doubted us, but there wasn't a consensus. And it seems as if people have forgotten that storyline. And forgotten what this team has done as a collective, fought through that and hurt all the doubters whenever, we're talking about 15 draft picks lost to the draft. And, a lot of those guys over there on defense and even on offense heard that, And so we went to work and we took it week by week and now we're here. So I think that's really special.
Cool. Good story. A lot of people doubted Georgia. Georgia was plus 380 to win the national championship. Yeah. It was basically Bama, Ohio State, Georgia. And then giant drop off. Clemson at plus 1020. USC plus 2180. They were a favorite in every game, yeah? The only one that might have been close would have been Tennessee?
Yeah, and they were actually a 9-point favorite.
Oh, it was 9.
Yeah, they were better than a touchdown.
They were a 9-point favorite against Tennessee?
Yes. I'm sorry, maybe it was 8.5. I apologize.
Was Tennessee number 1?
They were number 1 and undefeated.
I couldn't remember if Tennessee got up to number 1 in the country. Okay, so they're a 9-point favorite over the number 1 team in the country. Yeah. They were a 3-score favorite over LSU. What was it?
17.5. 17.5. So better than 3 scores, really.
Yeah. They're a 13 or 2-touchdown favorite in the national championship game. How big of a favorite were they? They were 7 over Ohio State, 6.5.
6.5, I think was closing.
So you were a touchdown favorite in your semifinal game. You're a 2-touchdown favorite in the Natty. You were a 3-score favorite in the SEC championship game, and you're favored in every game all season long, including a 9-point favorite over the then number 1 team and undefeated Tennessee Volunteers. What are you talking about? You've been disrespected. What are you talking about? That people were doubting you all year. Nobody doubted Georgia all year. What are you talking about? Like, literally from the preseason, they were picked to win the SEC.
Yeah. I mean, pointing out the actual fact that 15 players got taken in the draft is not doubting the team. That's fact.
It's a fact.
That
you
happened.
lost a lot.
That happened.
Yeah, lost a lot. You did. And everybody picked you to win the East and go back to Atlanta and be right here in the playoff. Holy moly.
He heard you, though, Matt. He heard you.
Now, I will say, maybe this is doubting the Muse, but their defense in the secondary is vulnerable. Now I don't think TCU or anybody's going to run the ball against them, but you can throw the ball against Georgia. And maybe Max Duggan will do that today. We'll see. My apologies to Stetson Bennett. Freaking loser. Like, I cannot. Is there a less likable underdog story than that guy? Like, he has become a pariah. Nobody likes him.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you have this thing with your whole underdog mentality, former walk-on, you come back, first natty, 40 years, all that sort of stuff. Like, you could have been a super likable star player that people were, and instead you're an a-hole. Like, does anybody like, just make this the Citizens Bank poll question today. Do you like Stetson Bennett? Yes or no? Do you like Stetson Bennett? That's it. No context, just do you like Stetson Bennett? Yes or no? That's going to be a landslide no. I mean, it's like me playing driveway basketball against my 11-year-old niece and swatting her shot and then flexing and doing the mic drop and all that stuff. Bro, you got an NFL roster. You're 30 years old. Shut up. I mean, congrats. It's been a nice story, and you've won a lot of games. It's awesome. But I'm going to say this again, and some of y'all disagreed with me. You could put any number of a dozen quarterbacks in the Power 5 on Georgia's team and win a national championship. You take Stetson Bennett, put him on LSU's. If Stetson Bennett's LSU's quarterback this year, do they win the West? I'm going to say no.
I'll say no.
If Stetson Bennett is on Ohio State's team this year, are they in the playoff?
I'd actually probably say yes.
With what C.J. Stroud did this year?
Yeah, but you're looking at a similar talented roster. I mean, look at the weapons on the outside. You have Travion Henderson in the backfield when he's healthy.
I think you are completely discrediting Stroud and how dynamic he is and what he brings.
That's
to
not what
offense.
I'm meaning to do, though. I'm just meaning, like, okay, you have a similar roster talent-wise at Ohio State than you do Georgia. You have a better chance if you're Stetson Bennett there than you would say at LSU, where you were replacing, you had 38
Does
scholarship
Ohio
players.
State with Stetson Bennett beat Michigan?
No, but they can still make the playoff, clearly. I mean, that happened anyway.
I'm looking for disparities here.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying
is the point.
I think you have a better shot at it with Ohio State because of the talent on the team.
There's talent on the team. They're no better with Stetson Bennett than they are with C.J. Stroud. Not even close. Like, you have a dynamic player that won games for you. My point is Stetson Bennett hasn't won a game for Georgia this year. Like, I can't point to one game and said, man, you take him off the field that day and they don't win. There's not one of those. It's not to say he hasn't played well, but I'm also saying there's nothing he did that Sam Hartman couldn't have done if Sam Hartman were the quarterback at Georgia, or any number of starting Power 5 quarterbacks that are really good players that on that team. And again, look, he's on that team. The talent's assembled. But like, no one has this conversation if he's not an a-hole about it. That's the problem, is nobody likes the guy, which is his problem, or maybe not his problem, because he'll be a hero in Athens forever, and good for him. Like, that's great. That is fantastic for him. He'll get to go live that life forever, and I hope it goes exceptionally well for him. Except I hope they lose tonight. Who are you pulling for?
Oh, I'm absolutely pulling for TCU.
TCU, Paul?
100%.
TCU.
Yeah, y'all know where I stand on this. The pull for the conference thing, I don't do that. It's the SEC is established, and it's fine. Like, if TCU wins today, it's not like all of a sudden people are going to start to give the Big 12 more credence. It's just a really nice story that illustrates what's possible in the NIL transfer portal era. Right coach, right roster, supplemented with the portal, got the right quarterback to run the system, and they came up aces, man. I mean, there were a lot of 50-50 games, managed to win. I mean, the ending of the Baylor game is as bizarre an ending as you might ever see. Like, hustling a team onto the field to kick the walk-off field goal, and he drills, it's crazy, But they've been a great story. We'll see how it goes tonight. I'm hoping for a great game, man. I hope it's a fun game and it's competitive all the way through, and we'll see how it all plays out. All right, we're brought to you by Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com. Old Delhi told us they might get some precipitation there at SoFi Stadium. If that leads to mold, they could call Mold Zero. Come in, patented non-toxic dry fog treatment, mold-0usa.com. You get to the website. When you go to the website at Mold Zero, you'll notice there's a phone number for Baton Rouge and a phone number for New Orleans. So go to the website. Call they service all of Greater Baton Rouge, all of Greater New Orleans. So call the number that best suits where you are. You can get that free estimate. Jim Woodworth and gang do awesome work, man. I'm telling you, he's a veteran. He's as good a dude as you'll ever want to meet. Ethical, is going to do right by people. Everyone deserves to live in a mold-free home, work in a mold-free office. If you have an issue with mold or odors or any other pathogens, this patented non-toxic dry fog will take care of all of them. It's mold-0usa.com. Check it out, mold-0usa.com. All right, Muse is going to have Tigers and the Pros coming up in just a bit. I had intended in this segment to talk about LSU basketball. We got a little derailed there talking about Georgia and Stetson Bennett feeling disrespected. I mean, they were the betting favorite. What are you talking about? They weren't an underdog all year. Anyway. They're 2-touchdown underdog in the national championship game, and this jackleg is talking about being disrespected? I mean, the time, remember when Alabama was like a 1-point dog against Georgia a couple years ago and then beat them by 40? That's when Nick sort of feels disrespected, right? Their favorite streak was broken. Come on, Stetson, what are you talking about? It's such an opportunity. Look, there he is. There he is. All 160 pounds of him. Freaking. Thank God I never have to look at that kid ever again. All right, it's after further review. Muse Love Tigers and the Pros next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's. Oh, king cakes. My goodness. Go to rouses.com and get your king cakes. Oh, look, you can go into any Rouse's. We, of course, the Moscona family didn't. Erica goes to Rouse's every Saturday, the Long Farm Rouse's, which is airline by Antioch in Baton Rouge. And picked up a Rouse's king cake. As a matter of fact, Erica and I had a date night, so she picked up a Rouse's king cake as well for her parents who watched Drew. So we left it there with a little note thanking them for watching Drew this weekend or on Saturday night. Rouse's king cakes are great for any occasion. Dozens of different options with all the great fillings. Find your favorite. And remember, if you live outside of Louisiana or maybe you have a family member or a client outside of Louisiana, Rouse's will ship king cakes all over the U.S. So go to rouses.com. That's rouses.com. Right there on the homepage, you'll see the king cake tab. You can see how you can have that Rouse's king cake shipped anywhere. Rouses.com. Rouses.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. The lawyer representing one of the state troopers accused of malfeasance in office and negligent homicide tied to Ronald Green's death says he believes a jury will clear his client. Corey York scheduled to be arraigned next month in North Louisiana. His attorney saying state prosecutors got it all wrong. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
Cornell Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Cornell Toyota family to yours.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. We will talk about Sean Payton, his potential future coming up in about 10 minutes from right now. Right now, the Muso has Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
The Buffalo Bills beat the Patriots 35-23, securing the number 2 seed in the AFC. Tre'Davious White in the game, 4 total tackles, 2 of them solo, 1 pass defense, and an interception. Great to see Trey back after the ACL. Minnesota Vikings, they're headed to the NFC playoffs. Unfortunately, Justin Jefferson fell short of breaking Calvin Johnson's NFL receiving yards record for a single season. The last 2 games really kind of screwed him a little bit. Did lead the NFL in receiving yards, 4 receptions for 38 yards was his total yesterday. Teammate Patrick Peterson, 2 total tackles in the game against the Chicago Bears, 1 pass defense, and his 5th interception, which tied him for 5th in the National Football League this season.
Oh, wow.
The Cincinnati Bengals, they're heading to the AFC playoffs as the number 3 seed. Joe Burrow yesterday, 25 of 42 for 215, a touchdown, no interceptions. Also carried the ball 3 times for 10 yards. Joey B and the Bengals, they're off to the playoffs, as we mentioned, looking for back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. Joe Burrow, after the game, was asked about the Bengals' window to win a Super Bowl, and this is what he had to say. Momentarily.
Got it.
Window's my whole career, and everybody that we have in that locker room, all the coaches we have, things are going to change year to year, but our window's always open.
Thank you, Joe. Jamar Chase,
I love him.
8 receptions, 86 yards,
Come home,
and
Joe.
a touchdown. For the New Orleans Saints, Tyrann Mathieu capped off a season-high 91 tackles, or a career-high, season-high, I should say, 91 tackles for him. 8 yesterday in the game, and a pass defense. NBA action. Naz Reid is back for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Dealt with some back spasms. Made his return last night against the Rockets. 10 minutes off the bench, 6 points and 5 boards.
You already know.
For the Rockets, Tari Eason, 16 minutes off the bench, 3 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. That is Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, if you did not please her or thrill her around Christmas or get her the gift she wanted, There's time. Make up for it with the gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. Great selection, sure to thrill her. And you always get the Lee Michaels experience no matter your budget. Don't be intimidated. Just walk in to any of the 9 locations of Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, 2 in Baton Rouge, and online at lmfj.com. All right, hour number 3 next. Sean Payton going to interview in Denver. What other suitors might there be? That's next. It's AFR.
AFR.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Bill safety Damar Hamlin's been released from the University of Cincinnati Medical Center and transferred to a hospital in Buffalo as he resumes his recovery. Another sign of the remarkable progress he's made 1 week after going into cardiac arrest during a game. The Cardinals fired coach Cliff Kingsbury 10 months after signing him to an extension through the 2027 season. Arizona had just one playoff appearance in his 4 seasons. In addition, GM Steve Keim decided to step away from his position to focus on his health. The focal point for Arizona's next coach and GM, quarterback Kyler Murray, explains ESPN's Louis Riddick.
What do we really need to do as far as building a relationship with him, understanding his strengths and weaknesses both as a player and as a person? How do we maximize those strengths? How do we get the most out of him individually? How do we get the most out of him in a collective sense as far as him being a leader? How do we help him grow into a leader?
Louis Riddick on Fitz and Harry. The college football season all comes down to this. Georgia TCU in the national championship game tonight. ESPN radio coverage bottom of the hour, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN TV and other ESPN platforms.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier to help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. We will preview Georgia TCU bottom of this hour. Otterlocks later this hour. Find out who Jimmy's got his money on and his band of merry gamblers. So we'll know where to put your money tonight. With the Natty, Georgia and TCU. Has seen the line bump today. Some Georgia money has come in, and it's back up to 13.5. Saints season came to an end on Sunday with a 10-7 loss to Carolina. It's interesting because there's not a lot of middle ground right now on the Saints, on Dennis Allen. Generally, the reaction is one extreme side of the spectrum or the other. For example, here's a text into the show from Randall that said, Matt, I'm a diehard Saints fan. I bleed black and gold. I hope they win every game next year. But until they fire Dennis Allen, I will not spend another penny on tickets or anything related to the Saints. And it's that terrible because I love going to Saints games. So, I'm not spending another dollar until they fire him. Chris said on Dennis Allen, actions speak louder than words, but he doesn't even use the right words when given the opportunity. Going to be another blah year next year. Hopefully that will be the last one he gets. And then there's Adam, who said, Matt, how many consecutive 8-8-ish seasons did Sean Payton have? It's unfair to judge Dennis on his first season as head coach that he's been plagued with injuries on offense. Or is it fair? I'm sorry, he worded this poorly. Is it unfair to judge Dennis on his first season as head coach that he's been plagued with injuries on offense? And he says, just check for you. It was a 5-year span with 4 7-9 seasons. So what he's referring to is the time Sean Payton had when, in 2012, the Saints were 7-9 with Adam, and I'll provide some context that Adam doesn't hear. In 2012, that was Bountygate. They went 7-9 without Sean Payton. And for context, remember, you were coming off Super Bowl 09, playoffs in 2010, and then a 13-3 2011, which was the best team the Saints ever had. That set the NFL, was the best offense in the history of the NFL. And then 2012, you were expecting to continue building on that run. Bountygate, you just cut the Saints off at the knees. Payton was back in 2013. You were right back in the playoffs. You beat Philly in the wild card round. You lost in the divisional round to Seattle. And then you had back-to-back-to-back 7 and 9 seasons in 14, 15, 16. And then, of course, they went on a great run from 2017 to 2021 when they were in the playoffs every year, or through 2020 when they were in the playoffs every year, and then but had some terrible misfortune in the postseason. So to Adam's point, though, about judging Dennis in his first year and then pointing out Sean Payton's 7 and 9 seasons. The difference is Sean Payton had proven he could win, Adam. This is what you're forgetting. Dennis Allen didn't inherit a team drafting in the top 5. The Houston Texans firing Lovie Smith is stupid because he inherited an awful football team, and they were awful again. Doug Peterson inherited a miserable football team. Got him to the playoffs. He's won a Super Bowl. He's a really good coach. He's done it before. Like, that's the thing, Adam, you're failing to acknowledge. Dennis Allen in 2012 was 4-12. In 2013, he was 4-12. In 2014, Oakland brought him back. He started 0-4, and they fired him. So now he gets another shot to be a head coach, inheriting a team that won 9 games a year ago. Again, please remember this context. Dennis Allen did not inherit an awful situation. There were people projecting the Saints to go to the Super Bowl this year. They won 9 games a season ago. 9 games despite playing more starters than any team in the history of the NFL. There has literally never in the history of the NFL been a more injury-plagued team than the 2021 New Orleans Saints, which still managed, despite playing 4 different quarterbacks, which included Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, Trevor Siemian, and Ian Book, still won 9 games. All right? And one of the losses was the BS Monday night loss against Miami when you had dudes introducing themselves in the locker room because the whole roster was gutted and you had to start Ian Book. Otherwise, you win that game at home and you get to 10 and you're in the playoffs. So, big asterisk there. Either way, you had a good coach. You had a dude who knew how to maximize what he had despite all of their shortcomings. Exit Sean Payton and a team that was healthier. Put Andy Dalton on last year's Saints. Give me Andy Dalton instead of Trevor Siemian, Ian Book, Taysom Hill, and you are a playoff team. We have a large enough sample size. As a head coach, Dennis Allen is 15-38. He inherited a good organization, a good roster. Yes. The quarterback situation needs to improve. The cap situation, awful. I get all of that. He was also the head coach that decided to make multiple trades to move up into round 1 and foregoing future assets, even assets in last year's draft, to take Olave and Penning. He's the head coach. Put that at his feet. You have a large enough sample size, y'all. He's 15-38. He's won 28% of his games as an NFL head coach, y'all. 28%. He's not a head coach. He's not. Not now, nor will he ever be. With a more stable roster this year than last, you lost 2 more. You won 2 fewer games. And you don't have anything in sight to suggest there's an answer at quarterback or the thing that's going to bolster this. The Dennis Allen defenders are stunning to me. To the guy who brought up the question on the text, Sean Payton came in year 1 with New Orleans, inheriting a team after the greatest natural disaster in the history of our country that went 3-13, played the entire season on the road, didn't know if the building was going to be open in time for the opener. They spent the entire fall on the road, and they won the division and went to the NFC Championship game because he was a good coach. And in year 4, he had won a Super Bowl. And then they had gone back-to-back-to-back playoff appearances, and then Bountygate. And you know what? He had proven his ability as a head coach, and so they gave him time to rebuild the culture again after all the Bountygate stuff and everything that had transpired. He's earned the benefit of the doubt. It's why he's the most coveted guy right now in this coaching cycle. The fact that I sit here and actually have to have this conversation and explain this is mind-boggling to me. Like, there are literally people who text the show and tweet me who try to discredit Sean Payton. Like, why this man took over, arguably, post-Katrina, the worst situation in the history of the NFL, and turned the Saints, one of the worst organizations in the history of the NFL, to a pillar of stability over a decade and a half. There's a reason every team in the NFL that has a coaching vacancy wants to hire him. If you're trying to prop up Dennis Allen, fine, make an argument, but don't make it in any way discrediting what Sean Payton is or has done in his career, because that just makes you look stupid. Have a separate conversation of why you think Dennis, like, convince me why you believe, despite seeing nothing of the sort, that Dennis Allen is going to figure it out. Like, that's the conversation, if you're a Dennis Allen defender, supporter, that you need to have. Not criticize Sean Payton, not tear other people down. Tell me why Dennis Allen, what you've seen from Dennis Allen that convinces you he's going to get this right and fix it. Because in his career, he's 15-38 over the course of 4 seasons as an NFL head coach in 2 different places. I don't know what else to tell you, man. Like, there's nothing there. Like, if he does it, it will come as a total surprise. It will be an upset because we've seen nothing to this point in his career as a head coach to suggest he knows how to be a successful head coach. Dan Campbell took over an awful situation in Detroit, and last year they were bad, and for half of this year they were bad, but they built, and boom. But that's a guy that was a first-time head coach. He deserved the opportunity to build it. Dennis Allen don't deserve that benefit of the doubt. He's been a head coach now at 2 different places, and he's not good at it. And I don't know what's ever going to make him good at it. So if you've got an argument to be made, I'm all ears. I'm a Saints fan. I'm never hiding that. I love my team. I want them to win. But I also get paid to sit here and give you opinions. People ask me all the time, man, you're hard on the Saints. Like, what do you want me to do? Lie to you? I'm going to give you my honest opinion. Of course I want him to win. I hope I'm dead wrong. I hope Dennis Allen wins a Super Bowl next year. But I don't believe it's going to happen because I don't think he knows how to be a great head coach. It's just not in him. There are qualities and characteristics that make up leaders, and he doesn't have it. That's okay. Like, not everybody is meant to be the CEO. There are plenty of people that are magnificent CFOs and COOs. That is great. Do the thing that you can do exceptionally well within the culture of an organization and thrive at that and help people win. Dennis Allen is a magnificent defensive coordinator. Part of the reason that Sean Payton had sort of the rebirth from 2017 on was they brought him back as DC. They blew out Rob Ryan, brought in Dennis Allen. He was great in that role. He's a great defensive mind in the NFL. He just ain't a great head coach. There is a difference. Not every lieutenant is meant to be a general, and he's one of them. So go prove me wrong, Dennis. Apparently going to give you another year to try. You won't do it, but they're going to give you another year. Go try. We'll see. And next year, we'll be sitting here. The Saints will miss the playoffs again. We'll be having the same conversation again. And I'm curious, a year from now, where the Dennis Allen defenders are going to be. Please, I'm begging you. If you're a Dennis Allen defender, give me something. Because a year ago, I was with you. A year ago, it wasn't my choice. It wasn't my favorite, but I understood it. Man, he was in an awful situation before. He had that experience. Now he's learned from it. He's older now. Better roster than he had in Oakland. Better ownership than he had in Oakland. Alignment. Like, it's a better situation. And the results are the same. So, please, give me reason to believe that I'm wrong. Give me reason to believe in Dennis Allen. We're the DA defenders. I'm begging you to please tell me why I'm wrong. And it's not tearing down Sean Payton because he had some 7 and 9 seasons. He also won, something we've never seen Dennis Allen do. Tell me the reason I should believe in him. I'm all ears. All right, we're brought to you by Hudco Roofing. HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Boy, tons of rain Sunday in the area. Every time it rains, our phones ring. It's just the nature of it. I tell you all the time. There's 2 ways to find out if you got roof damage. Let us come do a free, no-obligation inspection, or wait till it rains and get water in your house. One of those options is better than the other. Hey, by the way, we did fix this. So I told you we're all over the state. If you go to the website now, we have phone numbers for our Lafayette office, for our New Orleans office, for our Baton Rouge office, and for our Bossier office. So if you're in New Orleans, call our 504 number and get our crews in New Orleans. If you're in Lafayette, call our 337 numbers, get our crews in Lafayette. If you're in BR, of course, tell you all the time, 364-1007. And we got a Bossier number for everyone in the 318 as well. Of course, you can always get your free, no-obligation roofing inspection at the website. It's simple, 30 seconds to fill out the form. We'll be in touch. We'll schedule it. HUDCOroofing.com. That's HUDCOroofing.com. Or give us a buzz. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Bossier, wherever you are in the state, we have a HUDCO office near you that'll come help you out. HUDCO Roofing and HUDCOroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. I want to remind you, commercial and residential. Residential and commercial. People, like I had someone ask me on Morning Scone today, do y'all do like commercial TPO? Yes. Repairs, replacements, new construction on commercial buildings. We do it all. It's HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. HUDCO Roofing and HUDCOroofing.com. All right, glad to have you aboard with us here. Counting down to the Natty, about an hour and 15 minutes away. Earlier kickoff this year. I kind of like it a little bit that they're going to kick it off early. That's to sort of appease the East Coast, which game wouldn't be ending normally at around midnight with the usual 7:30 kickoff. So they moved it up an hour to a 6:30 kickoff. Make everybody's evening a little more manageable for that Tuesday morning wake up. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. If you want to get some reaction in, feel free to do it. I want to reset what happened with LSU this weekend from a recruiting standpoint. They got a couple of commitments, and some high praise has come in for LSU's transfer portal additions. I'll share that with you when we come back. Still got a Georgia TCU preview to get to, Otter Locks, and a lot more here in hour number 3 of AFR, presented by Relief Windows.
AFR.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2022 Ford F-150, plus no payments for 90 days and 2.9% APR for 72 months. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Corval Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corval Toyota.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Hey, real quick, on Friday, Terrio was here, and he announced a giveaway with his new project, ProCharge EV. They have a table at the LSU baseball first pitch banquet coming up on January the 22nd. So that's not this coming Sunday, but the next. So 2 weeks from yesterday. And if they have a table as a sponsor of the event, ProCharge does, and they're going to be giving away 2 seats at the table. So if you want to attend the LSU First Pitch Banquet, there's a post on all the ProCharge social media. So if you want to go to Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, it's just at ProCharge EV, at ProCharge EV. And you'll see the graphic there for the First Pitch Banquet giveaway. It's like, just do what it says. It's like the page, share it, retweet it, tag someone, something all there. But anyway, so they're going to give away 2 seats at the ProCharge table for the LSU First Pitch Banquet, which is coming up, again, 2 weeks from yesterday, January the 22nd. It's at, by the way, I was saying on Friday, LeBear's. I messed up. It's Crown Plaza. They used to have it at LeBear's, and apparently, so TAF puts that on, Tiger Athletic Foundation. And apparently last year they had it at LeBear's, and they sold out very quickly, and they needed more space, so they moved it to Crown Plaza where they could have a bigger space. So anyway, so 2 weeks from yesterday, if you want to sit at the ProCharge table with Terrio, he invited me to go as well. So just follow it on social media, Instagram, at ProCharge EV, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. Okay. LSU had a big recruiting weekend. If you missed it to start hour number 2, we had Preston Hickey here, a defensive lineman from St. Paul's in Covington, who spent his freshman year this year at Oklahoma State, transferred into LSU as a PW, as a preferred walk-on. So it was a really good convo. If you missed it, you can catch it on demand at 1045ESPN.com or on the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. Just go to the start of hour number 2. Of course, Breck Golf bringing us our on-demand audio and video every day. We always appreciate our friends over at Breck. This is such a massive offseason for LSU because Brian Kelly is trying to build on top of what he did year one. And so the bar has been set, and now you're not really sneaking up on anybody, but you have to look and take a real hard look at your roster and see where you have to improve. And like Brian Kelly has said before, the transfer portal isn't going to be what they build the program on. I guess if you want an analogy, it's kind of like golf. The putter is a tool in your bag, but your whole game can't be putter. Now, if you're in Tin Cup, I guess it can't be. But like, you're not going to hit every shot with the putter. Similar with the transfer portal. Like, it can't be the way you build your roster, but it's a tool in the bag that you can use. You know, you're not going to build a house just using a hammer, but a hammer is very necessary in building a house. You're not going to build your whole roster with the transfer portal, but the portal is necessary in building a successful roster. So ESPN did their list of transfer portal winners. Interestingly enough, the first one they list, of course, is Florida State, who LSU is going to open up with next season. Jordan Travis returning is pretty big, but they've also added 5 players from ESPN's transfer portal rankings, which is interesting to see. Michigan also on the list, who, of course, is in the college football playoff this year. Oklahoma, Colorado, as you would expect, of course, with Coach Prime going into Colorado and what he's been able to do, turning that roster around in relatively short term. And the other is LSU. So ESPN ranks LSU among the top 5 transfer portal winners here in this offseason. They acknowledge, of course, bringing in Jaden Daniels a year ago was very big, but you had Paris Shand, the defensive lineman from Arizona. Jordan Jefferson, the defensive lineman from West Virginia. Braden Swinson, the Oregon transfer. Jalen Lee from Florida. Zy Alexander, Denver Harris. And then Aaron Anderson on the offensive side of the ball as well. That's not even including, this list was done before this past weekend when LSU picked up 2 more cornerback transfers, including a guy that was all ACC this last year at Syracuse. So Brian Kelly, I think maybe the most impressive thing has been the execution of a stated plan. Brian Kelly very clearly said at the beginning of last season, hey, we're going to play 2 tight ends. And I'll be darned, he did. And Mason Taylor ended up having a really big year. Brian Kelly said, look, we need to use the transfer portal, but we prefer guys from Louisiana, and we don't want guys with only 1 year of eligibility left because you don't have to keep resetting your roster every single year with guys that are one and done. So you want guys with multiple years of eligibility. And look at what they've done. Dudes that are veteran players, that have major college experience, and have multiple years remaining in their college career. It's not to say all of them are going to play and play out the duration of their career. But, a year ago, when you entered the season, you were looking at Jark Bernard-Converse, Mekhi Garner, Colby Richardson. I mean, a McNeese transfer. No disrespect to Colby Richardson because it's a great story, but this was a guy who was a McNeese transfer who signed at 160 pounds. They had to put 20 pounds on him in the offseason and really ramp him up to get on the field, and ultimately he ended up losing his reps as the season went along. But it shows you the spot the roster was in, and now you look ahead to what they have now, and you're looking at, man, a guy like Denver Harris was a top 50 player in the country. J.K. Johnson, who's transferred in from Ohio State, was a top 50 player in the country in the 247 composite. Zy Alexander was a 2-time FCS All-American. Zy Alexander may be your 4th or 5th guy on this roster. Now, he may come in and win the job. He may be the dude. But somebody who's an accomplished major college football player is going to be sitting the bench in that secondary this year because of the quality, experience, talented depth, and numbers they have now at that position. That's pretty exciting as they build. Again, it's not just throwing talent at the situation, but it's the realization of the stated plan. Brian Kelly told you what he wanted to do. We want to go add defensive linemen. Okay, you've bolstered now with 4 transfer defensive linemen. He's told you we need cornerbacks. Boom. Look at all the veteran corners that he's brought in here. Talented dudes. I mean, he's doing exactly what he's told you he was intending to do. And when you can execute that plan off the field, you have more confidence you can execute it on the field as well. Stacking great talent, talented classes on top of really good coaching. It's going to net a good result for the LSU Tigers. All right, we're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. 29 offices across 11 different states. And, man, the big focus at the end of 2022 and moving into 2023 has been sort of updating and increasing the calibration lab locations. They've expanded precision measurement devices in all their locations. A few of note, the Harahan location, the New Orleans location, they've added a 6,100 square foot lab for PMD calibration. Incredible. They've even got a 440 square foot clean room on premise. Houston, Baton Rouge, Bossier, Mobile. They've added so much to their resume and their roster of services, their menu of services they can offer all of their clients. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells services and rents the products used to weigh and measure. And, of course, they can calibrate all of your devices on site. You can ship it to them, or they can come pick it up from you, bring it back to their PMD labs, and calibrate it, return it to you. It's all about saving you time, making you more efficient. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Learn more online at Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com. All right, remember, you can always email us, tweet us, Text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Muse, can you give me a poll question update, please? We were talking about Stetson Bennett in the last hour. I'm curious. Got a text from Jeff into the show that said, Matt, I vote for the Saints making Sean Payton the highest paid head coach in history. Bring him back. Jeff, I don't doubt at all that Sean Payton might become the highest paid head coach in the NFL. I don't doubt that at all. Because wherever he goes, there's a chance it's going to be at a place that has new wealthy owners, like Denver, for example. You got new wealthy ownership that you realize Denver has not been to the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl? Denver has not been to the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl in the 2015 season in Peyton Manning's last year. It's been 7 years. They can't afford to get it wrong again. So they're going to be willing to spend on the closest thing to a sure thing that they see. So I don't doubt that part at all, that someone is going to make Sean Payton the highest paid coach in the NFL. Now, coaches' salaries don't have to be disclosed, and I think Bill Belichick makes an absurd amount, north of 8 figures per year. So what is that number? Don't know. But the Saints are very obviously committed to bringing back Dennis Allen. I mean, that's been something that everybody that covers this organization on a day-to-day basis that I've spoken with over the last 3-4 months has told me that the Saints are committed to bringing him back, and they're clearly going to stick to that and give him a chance. And I'm not saying one-and-done coaches in the NFL are a good thing, but there's a difference when you have a coach that has been a coach before, has failed, and then you have an option. Like, I'll say this again. If Sean Payton wants to come back to New Orleans, you fire Dennis Allen tomorrow, unapologetically. You have an opportunity for an upgrade at that level, you do it. All right, Muse, poll question. What you got?
Yeah, today's Citizens Bank poll of the day. Do you like Stetson Bennett? 72% say no.
That'll climb.
Yes.
It'll climb.
That's still a landslide.
Three quarters of the people. I mean, there's some that'll hang on and say, I like the moxie, I like the story walk on and all, but like there comes a point where like you're no longer the likable feel good. Like you're the little dog. You know that cartoon with like the big old bulldog and the little dog, like, yeah, butcher, just chirping because he knows he's walking right next to the giant bulldog. And actually,
it makes sense.
It's an appropriate analogy. I didn't even think of it. But you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Rex,
I know.
Or Butch, the big dog. Butch, like Stetson Bennett's little chirping dog. Yeah, Butch, get him, show him, Butch. Like that's Stetson Bennett. It's like if the big dog walks away, you ain't doing nothing, man. Anyway. All right, we'll preview the Natty when we return. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Otter locks in 15 minutes. Who does the Otter like tonight? We'll look at the line movement as well. A lot of money coming in on Georgia today as that line's jumped a point from 12.5 to 13.5. We'll keep an eye on it. Otter locks in 15 minutes. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Darren James and Associates, powered by eXp Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. Agent225.com. I say it all the time. Go to agent225.com. But the thing that's most important with Darren James, it's about getting you results and getting you on with life. Like, because if you're selling a home, for whatever reason, you're moving to some phase in life. Maybe you're getting married. Maybe you're an empty nester. Maybe your family is growing. Maybe you're selling an estate after a loved one passed. Maybe a family has divorced or separated. For whatever the case may be, for Darren, it's all about helping you get on to whatever's next in life and giving you as pain-free, as stress-free a home selling process as is humanly possible. You need to sell your home, you need Darren James. You need the realtor that's on the Wall Street Journal's list of the top 1% of realtors in America. That's Darren James. 335-7666. Call him or text him. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, about an hour away, kickoff, Georgia and TCU. How do we feel about the early kickoff today? The kickoff time, 6:30 Central Time, so 7:30 Eastern. This was a change made sort of to accommodate the East Coast because games were ending so late on the East Coast. They wanted to make sure that they accommodated East Coast, but then you also look at how early this makes the game on the West Coast. This will be a 4:30 Pacific kick, so a 4:30 local kick out in L.A. where the game is being played. I guess that, I mean, it's good that the night ends early, but the downside of it is for people leaving work. But Delly was with us here in hour number one and told us a story about how he's getting a ride, getting a ride share and Uber, whatever. And his driver, they told him they're there to cover the college football national championship. The driver said, "What is that?" I mean, it does go to show you context on when you're in a place like L.A. with 10, 15 million people. However many people live in Los Angeles, I don't even know. It's an illustration of where priorities are. But SoFi Stadium, Los Angeles, you're going to get a lot of Hollywood eyes and attention, and bringing the event to the West Coast, makes what becomes a very regional sport in college football a national sport when you move it around. So I understand why from an historical perspective, you like the championship games and the Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl and et cetera. But as far as growing the game, there is merit to bringing it to other places, to expose the game to new places and places like SoFi there. Now, when they played the game in Santa Clara, that was brutal because you were in such a beautiful stadium, but you were in a rural, remote part of Northern California, and it was not easy for fans to get to, and I don't know that was very beneficial. But playing it there in Inglewood in the stadium right there by LAX, there is a lot of reasons why that makes sense. So, college football national champion will be crowned tonight. We've talked a good bit about the game itself. Georgia is a 13.5-point favorite in this ball game tonight, which makes it's going to make for some very interesting storylines. Max Duggan and TCU have been so steady all season, and they've been a very good second-half team as well. But they're going to have a really big hurdle with that Georgia defensive front. Here was Max Duggan on the Georgia front seven.
I think there's just a lot of trust in my O-line. You know, when things kind of get tight, it's just staying in there, trusting the O-line that they're going to have my back. They're gonna create space for me to be able to throw the ball. And I think that as a quarterback, you want to be that guy that kind of sits in the pocket and allows for, we got studs outside on the receiver to give them a chance to get the ball and not just kind of take off after one read when things kind of get tight, but sitting in the pocket, because I think that's what all the greats do, and you see them do such a great job of sitting in that pocket, being poised.
I think one of the things I'll be interested in, especially here in the onset, is to see if the moment swallows up TCU. I don't know that it will, because you could have made the same argument in the college football playoff game, the semifinal game against Michigan. Boy, they raced out to a big lead in that game. So I don't know that this is a team that'll be overwhelmed by that. I guess there's always the possibility, and Georgia has the edge there. Sonny Dykes did. Look, for him, it's the first go. Look, for everybody, you're going to play in your first one eventually, whenever you play in it. But that's not to say you can't win your first one. But Sonny Dykes did talk about the mindset he and his team have ahead of this game.
Look, I mean, we're in the national championship game, so there's obviously a ton of motivation just to go out and play well. It's hard to get here. It's a difficult road for any college football team, just making it through the season. There's so many things that have to happen for you to have a chance to play for a national championship. I mean, just, from obviously staying healthy to figuring out ways to win games when you don't play your best. That's going to happen every year. There's going to be 2 or 3 games that you have to go out and figure out how to win, because there's going to be some things that, some situations where the ball didn't bounce your way. You're kind of beat up, you're a little tired, you catch a bad matchup. There was a bunch of challenges and a lot of things that have to happen, but our guys have embraced the idea that you have to play well every week. And to me, that's what makes college football so unique and so different.
I think I'm most interested in this game in TCU's defense. I think TCU's not going to be able to run the ball against Georgia because nobody has. I don't think anybody can run the ball against Georgia. But you can make plays through the air against Georgia. And I think TCU will. I think Max Duggan and those receivers are good enough, and the fact that they're in this game is not a fluke. The thing for me that's the bigger question is the TCU defense, which at times this year has been very good. How do they hold up against a Georgia team which does not have dynamic playmakers on the outside, but has a big physical offensive line, a veteran quarterback, some really good running backs as well, and can make hay on the ground? That for me is going to be the biggest. I mean, it's so cliche to say, well, you got to win the line of scrimmage, but I really think it's specifically on that side of the ball. Can Georgia Georgia's offensive line dominate the line of scrimmage, get the running game going? Because if they can, then I think then I think TCU's punching above its weight. But quite honestly, y'all, I think that was the thought many had going into the Michigan game. And TCU was far from outclassed. They hung 50 on them. And I don't know that I'm in a spot where I'm looking for TCU to pull an upset here. Can they? Sure. And I don't think I would be terribly surprised if they did. But this is a team, we've all said it, we've all doubted them all year at various points, and they just keep proving you wrong. And that guy, 15 under center, I don't doubt him. I mean, he finds a way to make plays. So I think we are going to have a really competitive ball game. I'm looking forward to it tonight. I think TCU in the points is the play, as most of I think that's a very public play tonight. We'll ask Otter when he's here in a few minutes. But I think it's a public play, and it's a public play for good reason, because I think Georgia is actually vulnerable, very vulnerable in the secondary, and TCU is going to move the ball and make plays. Can they score enough? It's going to be up to their defense. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020. If you're there at SoFi and you're sitting there in section 684, you better hope you had some LASIK done or you had 20/20 vision. I'll never have to worry about that, because I had my LASIK done 4 years ago, and I am just thrilled with the results. Still to this day, seeing better than 20/20. It is a life-changing decision that I would encourage anybody to make. If you wear contacts or glasses, no matter your age or refractive issue, do what I did. Call the best. Call Dr. Blake Williamson. I, for years, heard people say, LASIK's the best money I ever spent, best decision I ever made, and I just never acted on it. Until I met Dr. Blake Williamson, I finally made the leap, went for that consultation, just like I encourage all of you to do, and it's the best decision I could have ever possibly made. I wish I had done it years before. You're hearing this message today. Let today be the day you act. Call the Williamson Eye Center at 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. That's williamsoneye.com. Just schedule that consultation. Go meet with Dr. Blake. Let him explain the options for you about how you can see 2020 without contacts or glasses. It's the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. All right, been a really good show, y'all. We're coming down the home stretch, and glad to have you aboard with us. Otter Locks is coming up here in just a moment. We'll preview the Natty with the Otter. Remember, if you miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. Delly was here in hour number 1. We spoke to LSU commitment Preston Hickey to start hour number 2. Talked tons of Saints Panthers, Michael Thomas's contract he's done in New Orleans. I talked about Dennis Allen's future. It's all there. If you miss any of it, it's on demand for you at 1045ESPN.com. All right, one thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Otter Locks is coming up next on AFR.
AFR.
So last week, I had the great pleasure to start telling you about New Orleans flooring. You go to the website at nolaflooring.com, nolaflooring.com. New Orleans flooring in Metairie and on Airline Highway in Prairieville. You can't miss it. If you're on Airline, you're going south into Prairieville. You pass the Walmart on Airline in Prairieville. It's on the right. You can't miss it. The thing that's the most impressive, and I would so strongly encourage you to do this. If you're a homeowner and you're looking for flooring, if you're a contractor, if you're someone who renovates and flips houses, if you do new construction, go to New Orleans Flooring. The side-by-side of their product that they manufacture and the comparable product from competitors, there is no comparison. And because they keep it in stock, you can order today and they can install tomorrow and save you anywhere from 40 to 50% on your costs. It's unreal. NOLAflooring.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infinity QX80.
Experience the Infinity QX80 at your local Infinity retailer.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, door, siding, as always, big shout out to Brandon and Adrian Holly. Awesome people. They are as much of the business, more so even than the windows, the doors, and the siding. Just amazing people. Windows, door, siding, Relief Windows. ReliefWindows.com. One thing left to do. Find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable, the often incomprehensible, the Outfather himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Doing good, man. I think you're being a little too rough on Dennis Allen. Part of the contract that on 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1, Taysom Hill has to sell Super Dogs and Dome Foam for the fans instead of being on the field. So.
Otter, I just don't understand the defenders. Like, if you
I'll give one defense.
Okay,
one defense is the Raiders were highly dysfunctional at that time. It was hard for anybody to win, but he showed no signs of even being competitive. So that does count some now. But I do think that it wasn't like on that alone, like, oh, he can't coach, because that was as dysfunctional as any of the 32 teams.
Look, he had Matt McGloin as his quarterback. It was one of the reasons why I was okay with the hire. So look,
I like the hire at first, but it's not working, and he's not him, and it's not even close. And damn it, I mean, they had some of the best offenses in the league. They put Taysom Hill on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. All I had to see is one play again yesterday. 4th and 1, he's not in there. Why?
I know.
I mean, come on, man. Let's start with the basic stuff. No, he doesn't have it. I've seen enough.
Yeah.
More than enough. I'm giving you a hard time. Happy Monday.
My Monday's great. Got my Reebok pumps on. I'm fired up about it.
All right, a lot of things going on with this one, and we got Charlie and I will break it down more. We got a special sort of a first half companion show in game, so we'll be getting a lot of in game stuff. Boy, we were really close to having a big day yesterday. Oh, but the pitchy woo woo with the Jets. Thank you very much. The lost memo to the Houston Texas coaching staff. To tank. Another one in the 4th and 20. I mean, we were very, very close, but we just couldn't get it. Still 3 games over 500. It's pros versus Joes, but this is more complex than that. So the Sharps are on Georgia. The Sharps are against TCU. The Sharp money has been against TCU all season long. One of the most veteran bookmakers I know, and that's Chris Andrews over at the South Point and the Rampart, Colucci and them. He's Colucci's boss, okay? He sets the numbers. He says that the TCU Sharp, TCU's been very good to them this year. So it's almost like chasing money by the Sharps. Because normally I don't want to be on the Joe's side in a pros versus Joe's.
Right.
Because all of the public money is on TCU, the smaller tickets. A lot of times, Matt, the smaller people, the more casual, they want to bet on who they want to cheer for. I mean, how many people, from Baton Rouge go get a ticket? Are they betting future tickets on Bama when they go to Las Vegas? No. Okay, they're going to get an LSU ticket or something like that. And so I get that, but the thing is, I still think there's a carryover.
Jimmy Ott's game time. Jimmy Ott.
I still think there's a carryover element to Georgia's point spread value, their power rating in Vegas from last year's team. And I don't think I know they're not as good as last year's team. They still might be the best team in the country. Mm-hmm. I still think they are. But this group of 4.
1 minute remaining.
Really, really close. And I know one thing about TCU. They might fall behind, but they could get really handled tonight. They're not going to quit, and they're a live dog for the backdoor cover. So I'm going with TCU.
Okay. And that line has jumped a point today. It's up to 13. It was 12.5 this morning. It's up at 13.5. So
just saw 13.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Lot of Georgia money has come in. All right. Otter likes TCU in the points. I'm with you on that one, Otter. Mike's have played at 12.5. I don't know if I'm gonna go back in again at 13.5, but I'm with you there. All right. Where are y'all tonight?
City Slice, in front of the 6th green wall. Belly's getting ready to tip off. Me and Hanny, a lot of in-game stuff. So if there's an opportunity, we'll be on it.
All right, Otter. We appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time. Have a great show.
All right. Thank you, man.
All right. Game Time with Jimmy Ott follows us in Baton Rouge. If you're not in Baton Rouge, online at 1045ESPN.com. What he pointed out there is good. If there's an opportunity for a live in-game bet, be listening to the Otter. He'll let you know at the moment. Muse, Paulie, appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Enjoy the Natty. We'll see y'all tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2022 Ford F-150, plus no payments for 90 days and 2.9% APR for 72 months. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live